Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Before we get into the watch list, as always, we're going to do a quick recap of this past week's trades. And I'm not even going to waste any time. I've been waiting to talk about ticker symbol VREX ever since this debacle. When I look at a stock and think it has potential to gap up the following week, I'm judging its daily and weekly charts. If the technical setups look good, I'm going to call it out on the watch list. And the technical setup for VREX looked good on both the daily and the weekly charts. Before this big drop right here on the weekly, there was a bullish reversal study on this candlestick. Then there was a pullback, and then it finally looked like that it was ready to break out, which is why I called it out this week. However, I missed one key variable, and this is something I don't typically do. I missed the fact that this stock had earnings this week. When a company reports negative earnings, no matter how good a daily or weekly chart looks, all technicalities go out the window. I called the stock out at a closing price of $16.38, and it made a high of $16.96, which is great for a small cap stock. So things were looking fantastic, and I was starting to make decent money. I wake up on Thursday and I'm down $1,000, and that's where I realized my error. I let the stock bounce back a bit, but ultimately closed my position, and I lost about $800. I didn't want any part of it, and obviously it would suck if the stock goes back to my original price point, but hindsight is 2020. And you can't do much about that other than move on. This is not to say I don't ever choose stocks on the watch list that have upcoming earnings. If I do, I make sure to do thorough research on that company and one that I believe in before calling it out. I didn't know anything about this company and chose it purely based off its technical setup, which again I really liked. And like I said, things were going well, and if it weren't for earnings, I truly believe this stock could have made a decent move up as it looked like it was going to. But this is the world of trading, and if you're going to make one minor mistake, the market's not going to forgive you. But I do ask if you guys can forgive me for this ridiculous oversight on my part. This won't happen again. I didn't do my due diligence of looking at all the variables like I do every week for the watch lists for this past week, and I just completely missed this one. And I want people who follow this channel to deserve better than that, so I just wanted to get that off my chest. And this wasn't the only stock I didn't see earnings on. TPR apparently had earnings as well this week, but I lucked out because their report wasn't as bad and it followed through on the technical setup. We called it out on a closing price of $14.51 and it made a high of $16.12. So I just got to do a better job of not rushing and actually looking at everything. The next stock we had called out was SBSI. We called the stock out at a closing price of $29.31 and it made a high of $30.64. So more than $1 per share move right there, and that's what you want to look for in a relatively small cap stock. Next stock is WBA. This was a continuation play from last week. The closing price was $41.52 and it made a high of $44.05. Not bad right there. Next stock is also another continuation play, and that stock is VREX. It had a closing price of $16.76 and it made a high of $18.47. Then it ran into this 20 EMA like we talked about last week, but still a decent move to make a profit right there via day trade or swing trade. Next stock is PRK. Big winner right here. It had a closing price of $84.67 and it made a high of $91.06, so definitely a massive move and a great call out for our watch list. The last stock was basically a loser, and that was Duke Energy. Like Walgreens and Xerox, I thought it was going to be a continuation play, but hey look, lo and behold, it had earnings, and that basically dragged the stock down. I actually think it beat earnings by 4 cents, so there must have been something during the conference call investors didn't like. Ultimately, the stock did make more than $1 per share move up, so there was a chance to make money on it if you guys were quick, but definitely don't like the time range at all. But anyways, that does it for the recap now, and it's actually time to move on to the watch list. First stock I'm calling out is SNDX. I'm really digging the weekly chart, especially with this recent bullish reversal indicator on this candlestick. The closing price for this week is $15.83, and I could see the stock making a move to $17.50, so we'll see. Switch over to the daily chart. Didn't quite want to see a doji stick at this spot right here, but let's see if we can see continued momentum. Next stock I'm keeping on the watch list is Tesla. Like Apple, Tesla's going to have a stock split by the end of the month. Looking at the daily chart, nothing quite convincing here for a bullish move, but if we switch over to the weekly chart, look at this bullish candlestick we just had at the end of this week. Maybe I'm being a bit optimistic, but based on their recent earnings, I have a feeling Tesla could break its all-time highs again next week. And if it does, we're talking about a massive move, so definitely one to keep on watch. Next stock is what we just had on this past week's watch list, and that is TPR. Like I said before, TPR just recently had earnings, but it went well, and I could see continued momentum for this stock, especially how we're now above the 20 EMA on the weekly. Switch over to the daily. I'm really glad we got this green candlestick to end the day for this week, otherwise I probably wouldn't have as much conviction. Next stock is CSGS. Doesn't have as much volume throughout the day, so this is probably more suitable for a swing trade rather than a day trade. But the daily chart doesn't look too bad, nothing really special here, but if you switch over to the weekly chart, it looks pretty bullish. We could see a reversal signal go off on this candlestick, and we're above the 20 EMA, so let's hope we could see continued momentum into next week. The last stock is Dropbox. As you could see here, there's no reversal signals here or any kind of bullish technical setup. I'm calling the stock purely based on intuition. It's gapped down significantly the last 2 weeks, and I think we're due for a minor bounce for this upcoming week, especially how the company had a nice beat in its earnings last week. I think we can go back up to 20. Let's switch over to the daily chart. Not the daily setup you want to see, but this is now multiple red candles in a row that I think you'll definitely see a relief bounce for sure. But anyways, that's 5 stocks. If you guys have stuck around for this long, I thank you, which is why I want to go ahead and give you 2 bonus stocks. The first one is BOIL. If you switch over to the weekly chart, you can see a reversal signal went off not too long ago. I like how this week's candlestick is above the 20 EMA. I could see a move up to $50. The last stock is BWXT. This company had decent earnings, and you could see that via this candlestick. I believe this week was a bit of a pullback, and now we're going to see continuation, maybe back into the 60s, but anyways, that's it guys. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to this channel if you want to see more content like this. Good luck to you all, and I'll catch you guys back in the next video. Peace.